management for advertisers. Vision Communications Incorporated is not responsible for the validity or accuracy of information presented on this program.
Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin. Get the health answers you need from the creator of Holistic Medicine and the 2020 Holistic Doctor of the Year. To be a part of the show, call 417-447-1777. Wellness Wednesday. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin.
And good afternoon. We are going to talk today about the most essential thing other than breathing, your nutrition. And it is so inadequate for the vast majority of Americans. And speaking of nutrition, let me talk about my favorite food supplement. Nature Blessed Tart Cherry Juice Concentrate. 1 ounce, 2 tablespoons of that wonderful product give you the equivalent of 3.7 servings of the best fruits and vegetables in the world. Available in the produce department at real grocery stores. If they don't have it, you're in a fake grocery store, and there's enough fake food in the not to go to a fake grocery store. Nature lowers your blood pressure, lowers your cholesterol, anti-inflammatory, and it tastes smashingly good. In the produce department at real grocery stores, Nature Blessed Tart Cherry Juice Concentrate. And of course, for all your food supplements, and there are lots of them that you need, go to Spring Valley Natural Foods right here in Springfield. My favorite place to go for shopping because they serve you. You walk in and they come to ask you what they can help you with because, you don't know how to search through 10,000 different things. They will find them for you. Spring Valley Natural Foods, the place where I shop, and you should too. Now, let's talk about the fact that the average American is, eating slop. I wouldn't feed what the average American eats to a pig. Mm-hmm. And pigs will eat almost anything. But the 80% of the food available for sale in this country is junk. Now, that's all fast food restaurants, 100% of them. They load their food with, and that's Asian restaurants too, by the way, because they load their food with monosodium glutamate. White rice is the worst thing served in the world at any place. There's no food value whatsoever. It's like eating pure sugar. That's at the average serving. And, of course, in the grocery stores, again, about 80% of the food available is junk. If it's on the center aisles, it's likely to be junk. Now, you can find a few things that are sugar-free and artificial-free, but it takes you all day to find them to shop there. Shop in the outer aisles, the vegetables, the fruits, the dairy, the meat products. And, of course, I am definitely not a vegan. I think vegan protein is inadequate for the average person, for optimal health, and for your immune system. But the important thing is you need specific supplements, and you need them more today than you did 50 or even up to almost 100 years ago. And that is because of toxicity. The world is filled with poison. The top poison on my calendar is fluoride. Mm-hmm. 71% of people live in cities with fluoridated water, which is the worst poison in the world. It destroys your immune system. It destroys your brain. It destroys your fertility, your libido. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, the play goes on.
Destroys the pineal gland.
Oh, the pineal. Well, that's the real problem because the pineal is the major control center for everything in your body, practically. Mm-hmm. And it is poison, and you should vote out every member of every city council until they get rid of fluoride. However, in the meantime, get yourself at least some kind of filter to get rid of the fluoride. We have a Berkey at our clinic, and that's the easiest one, in my opinion. You can't get filters for your entire house, but it's the water you drink and the water you're cooking with that you need most to be sure is free of the poison fluoride.
And, of course, not to mention, look at your toothpaste.
Well, I haven't bought fluoridated toothpaste in 50 years or more. I consider the dental industry more evil than the tobacco industry because theoretically they are part of the health system. And in my opinion, they suck. And that is being kind because I'm on the radio. But I told my own dentist, if he put fluoride in my mouth while I'm having my teeth cleaned, I would bite his hand off.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that. So the important thing is, until you can do something else and live without city water, don't use fluoridated toothpaste, don't use fluoride, and don't drink city water. Now, beyond that, almost at the top of my list is vitamin D3. A deficiency in that will weaken your immune system more than anything I know. And the vast majority of Americans don't get enough sunshine even to think about making D3.
Mm-hmm.
And you need actually between 5 and 10,000 units of D3 a day.
Or 50,000 a week. Or
50,000 a week if you weigh 140 pounds or more.
Yeah.
50,000 every 10 days if you weigh under 140 pounds. And that's critical. Next on my list is magnesium. Magnesium is deficient in about 80% of Americans. And you can't absorb it if you have in your gut at the same time protein, calcium, or fat. Now, when does your intestine not have one of those at the same time? So you need magnesium lotion. The Shealy-Sorin magnesium lotion is the best thing in the world for helping your immune system, for keeping your blood pressure normal, for keeping your brain functioning. I mean, I use it in children, 1-year-olds even, who have epilepsy, and for people with atrial fibrillation, it is the greatest treatment in the world. Magnesium lotion, for most people, 2 teaspoons twice a day, is absolutely essential.
And I just want to mention for anybody who is not listening extremely carefully, which is actually, this is a very big point, magnesium by mouth, oral formulations. I just want to emphasize that again. That's trouble.
They are a waste of money and time and energy.
And there is actually the research, and I want to focus on this for a little bit, the relationship between magnesium and over 300, is it 50 or 60?
350 different
reactions in the body.
Reactions in the body.
Plus DHEA.
And yes, and by the way, you could take a ton of it and only kill yourself by mouth. But on the skin, it raises your DHEA a whopping 60%. DHEA, the anti-stress hormone, the most important hormone in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, next on my list is actually really vitamin C. Once upon a time, the FDA, bless their pointy head, recommended 60 milligrams a day. They now recommend 100. I recommend 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
It is next to magnesium and vitamin D3, the next most important thing for your immune system and your overall health. And of course, it is in the Shealy-Sorin youth formula. And there it is coupled with MSM, methyl sulfoxamethane, and that combination also raises your DHEA a whopping 60%. Now, interestingly, anytime you take adequate vitamin C, you need also B complex. Once upon a time, before the poison saturated the world, they recommended daily intake of B1, B2, B4, B6 was between 1 and 2.5 milligrams each daily. Now you need a minimum of 25 milligrams daily. And that is in our premier product, Shealy-Sorin Essentials, with green, essential, echo, et cetera, et cetera. It's got everything, B1, B2, B4, B6, B12, all the other Bs, and it has traces of all the others, including even a tiny little bit of vitamin A, and all the minerals. I mean, the list of minerals must be at least 100 different minerals that we need. Now, my favorite mineral probably of all is chromium,
Mm-hmm.
because it is essential for your pancreas to function at all. And it is one of the most common deficiencies in this country. But you need the combination of our essentials, our youth formula, the magnesium lotion, and some D3. Now, all of this is good for everything in your body and your health in general. you can't function if you don't have any one or more of these different essential items. So everybody should be taking this. Now, how do you take it? Well, personally, I essentially take it all in the morning. I mix it. I take, of course, about 100 other things as well, which I mix in a blender. And so I drink it before I start the day. And you don't have to spread it out with each meal. It's perfectly fine to take it all at one time. If you want to split it up, you can look at the bottles and see how it says to take it.
Now, just interestingly enough, if a person has to choose, and this is actually from patient questions and answers, so to speak. So let's address some of the most common things that people ask me during consultation, and let's go through that. So the first question is: does it matter if I take everything with food or without food as recommended, and how much does it matter? Let's talk about that.
In my opinion, it's best to take it at the beginning of a meal, but it's okay if you take it during the meal or immediately after the meal. It doesn't really matter a lot. It's whatever's comfortable to you.
And what I say to people, yes, there are some things that are better with food, and some things that are better without food better. But regardless, if you don't take it, it doesn't help.
Yeah, essential is to take it.
Just take it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, don't forget, there are a couple of other things you need as well, and that is the essential fatty acids, the omega-3s and the omega-6s. You don't need any omega-9s, but you need omega-3 and omega-6s. And those you can get from emu oil or salmon or fish oil.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essential for the brain as well as for the heart and the blood pressure. Well, I mean, it's essential for the immune system. I mean, again, everything affects everything. In general, when we say this is best for the brain, well, yeah, the brain needs it number one, but every other organ needs it just as well.
I'd like to introduce another vision of a body, of a being, a human being, I should say. We are human doctors, not animal doctors, but I'm sure animals have a similar physiology in that we are made of trillions of cells. And that's how I like to think of in terms of supplementation. That's how I like to think about health. It's not just basically one organism, a human being by a certain name. It's how are the cells doing?
And of course, the essential probiotics.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that feed the essential bacteria in our intestines. There are more bacteria in your intestines than there are cells in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And they need their own food called probiotics. Now, interestingly, the best probiotics are homemade sauerkraut
Mm-hmm.
and homemade pickles if you make them at home. And if you buy sauerkraut in a can, forget it. It's a waste of money and time. But if you get the frozen kind at the grocery store, well, it's not quite as good as making it home, but halitosis is better than no breath at all.
Exactly.
And so there is one other essential nutrient, although we have a basic amount of vitamin A in the essentials. I think the other prime thing for the immune system is astaxanthin, astaxanthin, and a minimum of 10 milligrams a day. Now, I take 30 milligrams every day of my life, and it makes my skin look ruddy.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you, or I'm just going to make a quick prediction. How many questions do you think we're going to have on spelling on astaxanthin when people fall in the second half?
Well, I'm happy to spell it for anybody, and of course, you can buy everything we talk about at our store, the Shealy Wellness Store.
Yeah.
And of course, if you have other questions, go to our website, realholisticdoc.com.
A real holistic doc.com.
Realholisticdoc.com. And it's all there. We've got more information. You could spend days studying the information, the blogs, the different things we have on our website. It is really thanks to wonderful Matthew. He's done a great job of revising it.
And I do want to say thank you to our listeners, to our viewers, to our customers who support us, because what we really love to do is bring forth free information, health, wellness, knowledge, empowerment, and that's how we're able to do it.
And I I would like to point out that I give lots of lectures and talks most of these days on Zoom.
Mhm.
And this week, I have a new report on the one I did on Monday.
Yes, sir.
I have over 130 questions from people from listening to that on Monday. And I'm happy to answer questions from people when they've heard me talk and want further information. Just send me an email, norm@normshealy.com. I will send it to you. I'll give you an answer. Sometimes it takes me a day or two to catch caught up. This morning I had 200 new emails. But it's important for us to communicate with you. So if you have questions, ask us. And if you don't, well, just enjoy what we're telling you. Don't forget, however, you also need to think about what you eat every day. Now, near the top of my list is 2 eggs a day for almost everybody. The yolk of the egg has the most important substance for your brain, among others. And second to that is really any kind of dairy product if it doesn't have sugar added to it. Milk is a wonderful protein. And of course, then all the regular non-starchy, non-carbohydrate vegetables you want to eat.
I'd like to talk about the ratio for general public. Now, we have clients. I have certain clients who are high-end athletes. They're training for event, for whether it's boxing or mixed martial arts or whatever other sport. And the interesting thing is their nutrition is a little different when they're training. But for most people, 80-20 rule ratio.
80% for vegetables mostly, and a
Non-starchy.
couple of fruits.
Mm-hmm. And 20% for protein.
Yeah, for quality protein. Now, personally, I all the pure proteins, I strongly prefer whey, WHEY. But actually, hemp protein is one of the best plant proteins. And if I also personally like gelatin because it has particular amino acids for your joints, your cartilage, etc. So beef gelatin, I use 3 tablespoons a day. That gives me 27 grams of protein right there.
And I've recently been working a lot with the collagen protein.
Yes, collagen is also good.
Yeah.
And of course, at the top of the list is all the green vegetables. There's not a single green vegetable I know that's not superb.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my favorite is kale,
Mm-hmm.
but second probably would be broccoli, and then all the lettuces, especially the red lettuces, and then the peppers, the red, green, and yellow peppers, not the hot ones, but just the regular bell peppers. And of course, tomatoes and eggplant. And well, vegetables are the bulk for the average person.
Let's talk about a garden.
Well, when I was 12 years old, I took over my family garden. There were only 4 people in my family, but I'd seen my mother taking care of it, and I just asked if I could take it over, and I did. So until I went away to college at age 16, I take care of the family garden, and at least for the last, since I finished my surgical training in 1963, I've always had a garden. My favorite thing is if you've got a lawn, you should plow and plant a garden. It takes less work to maintain a good garden than it does to mow the lawn. And you should start planting the seeds for those things that need to be ready to go in the garden when the frost starts. You just start those indoors, and then as soon as the frost is gone, plant everything else for your garden.
And that's not just food. It's also exercise. It's being outside in the sun, getting vitamin D, and there's so many benefits to doing that.
Oh, yes, no question about it. Now, again, I do want to mention that if you're not going to take magnesium lotion, and you should, you could get magnesium chloride.
Mm-hmm.
We do sell it at the store. It is over twice as good as Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate. Magnesium chloride is much better. So 3 or 4 handsful of magnesium chloride in a bathtub and soak in it for 15 to 20 minutes every day. That'll give you adequate absorption of magnesium. It's good for detoxifying the body because you sweat more, but also you absorb this wonderful magnesium to help everything in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do be careful about sugar and avoid sugar, whether it's fructose, so-called this, that, and the other out of corn syrup, and of course sucrose. only two plants that really control any amount of sucrose:
Hmm.
sugar cane and sugar beets. Now, if you ate the sugar cane and sugar beets, it'd probably be okay. But eating the sugar out of it is poison. You don't need a single milligram of it. And don't eat white rice ever. It's almost as bad as sugar. And regular white Irish potatoes are no good, but sweet potatoes are excellent. You can eat those 3 or 4 times a week safely.
And as a matter of fact, that can serve as dessert if you do it right.
Well, they just taste better, and they're better for you. And of course, personally, because I don't eat fatty food to speak of, I take 1 tablespoon of coconut oil every day and 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. Those are two of the best added oils. The only other oil that I would use in my house is virgin olive oil. And there's nothing wrong with a little butter.
Yeah.
A pat or two a day is okay, but not 4 ounces.
Let's also make sure that we don't forget about some of the semi-essentials, but to me it's essentials. Taurine, for example.
One of my absolute all-time favorites. I've used it in 1-year-olds with severe epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a magnesium bath, a magnesium lotion, and a gram of taurine. But for adults, you can take anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 milligrams a day. It's good for hypertension. It's good for anxiety. It's good for epilepsy. It's good for you. Interestingly, it was discovered in ox bile, and that's why they named it Taurus or taurine. But the greatest concentration is in clams.
Mm-hmm.
And all seafood has more taurine than all land animals. And it works synergistically, almost like a Siamese twin, with magnesium to quiet the nervous system safely. So everything that you eat is important. It's almost as important as thinking. Thinking is a little more important because you got to get organized as to what you eat. But it is after breathing and water, it is the most important thing in your life.
And maybe an analogy that could help someone out there. I'm sure there's better analogies than this, but I'm just thinking of, I like nice cars. And, if you have a nice car, I mean, here's the thing. The human body is the most amazing physical instrument that I can think of. It's incredible. Complexity, how it works, how it kind of balances things, how it overcomes things. And if you were if you had a beautiful, amazing, high-performance vehicle, whatever that vehicle happens to be to you, would you put junk into it?
I totally agree. And of course, personally, I think the human mind is by far the most complex and phenomenal creation that we know of in the universe. Mm-hmm. And so use your mind effectively to keep your health optimal for the rest of your life. Because if you have all the good health habits, your average life should be at least 100 years of age. Now, someday we'll talk about all the things you can do to extend it up to 125 to 150 years. But the important thing is get to that 100 years healthily. At 88 years of age, I still feel 26. I can do almost anything I could do at any age in my life. And I do get 2 hours of exercise every morning in addition to eating properly.
So just a quick summary before we go for a break, and then we'll take all the questions afterwards, and we'll continue talking during the break. I just want to summarize. And just for the record, if somebody is in a shoestring financial capacity, in other words, they can't afford too many things, at the very least, youth and essentials.
Youth and essentials at the top of your list every day, and then magnesium lotion.
That's it. And we'll be back. And
see if there are any questions first, Rob.
I see quite a bit of messages there of some sort.
We have one question. Somebody asking. They said they purchased the youth formula and the essentials.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking. They say they weigh less than 100 pounds. Should they still take the full dosage? That's
and an adult. If they're an adult and they weigh less than 100 pounds, I would still take at least one of the essentials and a minimum of 2 of the youth formula. But even taking 25 milligrams, 2 of the essentials, and even 4 of the youth would be okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And any statements or comments as well? I mean, if there's anything.
Yeah. And somebody else was asking about where they can find the Zoom classes and things that you were talking about that you've done.
The what?
Where you did a Zoom talk and you had a lot of people ask questions.
Oh, what was that talk or conference that you did?
It was intuitive medicine.
Intuitive medicine.
People were asking how they find those.
Okay,
Now,
send me an email now.
no, actually, let's have Matt put a link right there so that Matt, I
I'll
think
have to get it for you, Matt.
okay, and then we'll put it up and we'll make sure that that's available because no, that sounds like it was a good talk.
It was at least the response to it was superb.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had such a remarkably
Healthy, boisterous. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Then a brief summary for those who may have tuned in late. The single most important thing on the breathing and drinking non-fluoridated water is your diet, your nutrition. And I don't care even if you grow all of your own food, including all your animal protein, you cannot get enough D3 or vitamin B complex or magnesium or vitamin C off your land.
And I just want to also mention, and I know you're going to say something about this. You know how people go to farmers markets and all sorts of things for organic. And again, I don't mind organic; it's better than non-organic. But
halitosis is better than no breath at all. However, there is no such thing as organic in the United States today. It would have to be grown in a greenhouse with filtered water and filtered air, because 75% of the rain has Roundup in it, the second greatest poison in the history of the world.
Mm-hmm. Produced by yours truly, Monsanto or Monsanto?
I'm on Satan.
Monsanto.
I prefer to think of it. Bought by Bayer, which is equally evil. They were the foundation for Hitler.
Yeah.
They were the financial support for the Nazi movement.
What?
And now they own Monsanto, and they continue to poison the world. They've only got 4,000 some odd lawsuits against them. I hope they lose every one of them to a few trillion dollars.
Sounds like they're continuing on the path. That's
But your city is even worse than Monsanto.
Mm-hmm.
The people, so get rid of all city council members until they get rid of fluoride in your water, and tell your dentist to cram it where he belongs.
I was talking to a dental friend of mine, and the ADA, American Dental Association, it's pretty much right up there with American Medical Association.
They're actually worse, in my opinion, because they at least the medical profession allows it in their drugs. Mm-hmm. But at the top of the dental association is a pure poison, fluoride, an absolute. In fact, if we don't get, folks, I didn't mention this earlier. Mm-hmm. If we do not get rid of fluoride out of the city water within a maximum now of 18 years, there'll be no more children. It has reduced fertility from under 50 million to under 40 million now. When it gets to 20 million, which will be within 18 years or less, there'll be no more children.
And by the way, next radio show, and we're thinking about what would be the next flow, is we're thinking about talking about thyroid disease, and that's that. So we'll certainly do that.
The number one cause of hypothyroidism is city water with fluoride in it.
That's it.
Every person who lives in a city and drinks fluoridated water is going to wind up in hypothyroid, even before they wind up with no testosterone and no DHEA.
Exactly. But there's a lot more on the topic, and we're going to have a great conversation at that time. How much time we have, Rob?
We got about 45 seconds.
45 seconds.
Folks, just keep thinking. Do I like to be healthy? Remember, every thought is a prayer. Thinking sets in motion spiritual force to bring about change in body, mind, companions, hopes, and despair. You cannot afford the danger of negative thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful how you think. Don't allow yourself to focus on negativity. And in the meantime, let us get back to our regular show after the break. Okay, any other questions while we're waiting there?
We do have one, and I'll...
Let's save it until for when after, back on the radio. Yeah.
Now, back to Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin.
So, one more question?
Yes, somebody was asking about natural ways to reduce their cholesterol.
About what?
Natural ways to reduce the cholesterol. But actually, if you follow us, there was an entire show on cholesterol management. And but in short, let's summarize a little something about cholesterol.
Well, at the top of the list is actually trimethylglycine, TMG. If you're an average human being weighing, let's say, over 110 pounds, you need TMG 2,000 milligrams 3 times a day. Safe, will lower your cholesterol safely. Now, I always include also lecithin granules,
Yes.
2 tablespoons twice a day, because they also help lower your cholesterol, but they're good for your brain. They help you make acetylcholine, which is how you think.
And cholesterol is not the enemy necessarily.
No, you'd be dead without cholesterol. Your brain cannot survive without it.
Mm-hmm. And we got an actual radio question right now coming in. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hi, how are you?
What can we help you with?
I'm fine. I just called with a question.
Okay.
Is this Norm Shealy?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
My husband has developed diplopia, double vision for the second time.
double vision, right? Yep.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, that needs a very careful neurologic exam to find out why. I mean, in other words,
Okay, now he has had that.
and
Uh,
what did they say
they
the
couldn't
cause?
find the cause.
They could not
Couldn't
find
find
it. If they couldn't find a cause, at the top of my list would be, of course, the supplements we've already talked about. But in addition would be the gamma PEMF device.
The ring.
It is the single greatest thing for the brain in general.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would have a consultation with one of us, you could rent it from us once you're a patient of ours, or you could purchase it online.
Are you local to Springfield,
No, I'm in Kentucky.
Kentucky? We can, if you like, again, that's just an option, but you're always welcome to have a telephone or Skype consultation. And it's not the same as being in person, especially for neurological exam, but I'm sure we can do something more through Skype than otherwise. If you're interested, because that's something that, again, if the conventional medicine does not have an answer, it doesn't mean that nothing is happening.
And it also means that there are other safe things that can help the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So,
And you were saying what was the one item you said?
gamma
PEMF.
PEMF,
Mm-hmm.
pulsed
Okay.
electromagnetic frequency.
Optimizes the brain function.
That's on your website, right?
Yes, it is. It's on the website,
Okay.
realholisticdoc.com.
Okay, I'll look it up. Thank you very much for your help.
Hey, thank you for calling. Blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yep. And I just want to add to
I
this.
can't see the thing.
Oh, is there another call-in? Okay, let's. Yep. Hello. Hi. All right.
Good.
You have a question?
Yes. Okay. Yes, my son's a type 1 diabetic.
Type 1
How
diabetic.
much-
Yep. Son.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How much D3 should he take?
How much D3?
How,
He's deficient, I know.
how much does he weigh?
He weighs about 175.
He should be taking 50,000 units of D3 once a week.
And
Once a week.
I'm going to add a few suggestions to that if he's not already. And of course, Dr. Shealy, feel free to jump in. Gymnema sylvestrum. It's an herb that is absolutely wonderful. One with each meal.
400 milligrams.
That's right. Then we also talked about chromium, and it comes in different forms. Trichromium, for example, is a really good place to
1
go.
milligram of chromium.
Mm-hmm. And
And
then,
now, does he need to take more than your essentials as far as the chromium?
Yes.
yes,
1 milligram.
And not chromium picolate or
A
chromium
pickle in it would be okay also, 1 milligram.
mhm.
chromium? What was that second one he said?
The second one is a gymnema. I think we were talking about.
Gymnema. It's an herb that has been used for thousands of years, really, for controlling many things. But I actually had a 13-year-old type 1 diabetic this week that I put on it.
Okay. Also, what do you guys think about the COVID vaccine?
COVID vaccine.
You'd have to shoot me with a gun to get it in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
You would have to shoot me with a gun to get it in my body.
That's what I thought.
I will
Amen.
not allow it.
So he shouldn't take that?
No. Not in my
even
opinion.
being a diabetic? Okay. All right. Excellent. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you for
Mhm.
calling.
Yep.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
You're
Hello,
on.
doctors.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, I have two questions.
Okay.
The first question is, what do you recommend for hemorrhoids? It's kind of an embarrassing topic, but
Preparation H is worth trying.
Mm-hmm.
It does work well
Okay.
for a lot of people.
But also stool
And-
softeners so that it doesn't exacerbate the situation.
Exactly.
Like Colace, that's over the counter.
And-
Pretty
and-
common.
Yeah, if you have normal bowel movements, not constipated, you don't need to do anything else. But otherwise, get plenty of fiber.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And movement,
And any-
activity, fluids, water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the basics.
Non-fluoridated water, of course.
Non-fluorinated.
Right. And I'm in agreement with you about about fluoride. What about tap water that's been boiled? Is that okay or is that out?
It won't do a thing for fluoride. It will get rid of some chlorine, but not fluoride.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a filter.
Okay.
Berkey
Okay,
is the
so
best
I've got-
one. It's fairly inexpensive, and it works for years.
Mm-hmm.
What kind?
Berkey, Berkey.
Oh, Berkey. Yes, I want to get one of those. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Great. And is anything internal that I can take for the hemorrhoid condition?
Anything internal. The biggest thing is also to go back to lifestyle, because that's where it all begins. And that's the
Yeah.
question. And we could explore it with a consultation, but let me just give you a quick general guideline. If you're not moving
Okay.
adequately, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, if you don't have enough fiber in your diet, if you don't drink enough fluids, chances, and if the foods are processed, or if there's any kind of question as to the quality of intake, that will certainly be a factor.
And my favorite added fiber, if you need it, is grapefruit pectin.
Mm-hmm.
Grapefruit pectin?
Pectin,
Mhm.
yeah, you can buy it in a bottle.
But I'll tell you, the question on constipation is a good one, because that's not just constipation, it's also toxicity, because all the stuff in the colon will reabsorb in the body as opposed to getting out of the body. So if that doesn't resolve, I think a clinical consult may seem silly, but that's really important. Or
All right.
work with somebody who's a specialist in this, I should say. But we're happy to address that as well. And
Okay.
starts from the base, from the lifestyle and onwards. Thank you.
I used to have a very good diet, but
Mm-hmm.
the last couple of years, a lot happened. So
Well, go back to good diet.
yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
I will. My second question is that my sense of taste is suddenly off. And-
The greatest cause for that is aluminum. Do you drink anything out of an aluminum can? It is
I
poison.
don't really.
I'm sorry.
I don't. I
No.
don't.
Okay, that's good.
Then I would get a test for heavy metals.
Mm-hmm.
I would get a hair test
Oh.
for heavy metals, because something is poisoning your system.
Oh. Okay, I will. I will do that.
Okay,
All
my
right.
favorite is Doctor's Data in Chicago. They do a wonderful job.
Spell it for me.
Doctors, DoctorsData,
Doctor's Data.
hair
All right,
analysis.
I'll check it out.
Thank you.
I'll check it out. Thank you so much, guys.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Dr. Shealy and Dr. Soren.
Hello.
I have a question for Dr. Shealy, because I've heard it from him first on USA Prepares, but then I did not note the names carefully.
Mm-hmm.
My question is about thyroid function.
Thyroid
and
function.
testing.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
So Dr. Shealy has said that the test that is typically done watches for a certain chemical or hormone, and that's a faulty test because something else needs to be seen in that test. So what is the name of that chemical or the hormone?
Armour, ARMOUR, thyroid.
that's a treatment. But let me address a little bit more of the underlying question. And I think let me rephrase what you're saying. So the test for the thyroid is not always accurate, and that's because of the fluoride.
Yeah, the fluoride fools the lab as well as your body.
Yes.
I see.
So the only part of the thyroid, if you are making tyrosine instead of trichloride or triiodide, then the lab test will suck. However, the TSH will usually be higher, and that's an indication. But actually, the best way to know whether you have hypothyroidism is take your temperature after you're out of bed 3 hours. If it's below 98.6, you're hypothyroid. It's that simple.
And the treatment is actually absolutely fantastic and works wonderfully, and that's Armor or Nature Thyroid. But holistic docs do that, but non-holistics are having trouble with that. But go ahead, please.
So that's the name of the test. That is Armor or Nature Thyroid.
Medication. Name of the medication.
Yeah, I strongly prefer Armor's thyroid.
Yeah.
Nature's has had a couple of bad batches.
Okay.
I see. So this is a medication, but
test
in the test, I think you are saying that the presence of fluoride can.
If there's fluoride in your drinking water, the test can be faulty. Yes.
I see.
It fools it. It fools it into thinking that it's normal and it's not.
Yeah, it lowers your thyroid, it lowers your testosterone, it kills you in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got that. Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have any more questions, now is the time. Free of charge. Get our opinion right now. And meanwhile, don't forget the topic for today. Good nutrition. Adequate nutrition. The average American is eating junk. Don't eat at a fast food restaurant. My favorite story is I went to McDonald's in 1962 1962 or 3, when they opened. I took one bite, spit it out, and I've never been back, and I will never, ever go back to them or any other of the junk restaurants. And in the grocery store, don't buy off the center aisles. Read the labels carefully. If they say anything about artificial substitute, it's pure junk. If they say corn syrup or corn fructose or God knows what else, it's junk. It's poison. And 80% of the food in a grocery store is junk.
Yep. And of course, the word GMO, genetically modified organisms, now that's also concerning. We're not supposed to be eating things that are genetically modified. Nature wasn't
genetically mutilating.
Mutilated, yes.
Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hi, Dr. Shealy and Dr. Sorin. I had a question about thyroid.
Thyroid, wonderful.
There are a lot of us, seems like, with thyroid issues. We just came back from a test, and the TSH is showing high, 5.74.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and we were listening to your program about the water, the water source, etc. So we're going to have to get a Berkey.
Yes.
But besides that, they wanted us to take a
levothyroxine. Oh God, that's terrible.
Yeah, I don't like any of the synthetic. It's a drug. It's not half as good as Armor Thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Armor Thyroid, yeah, we'd rather not go that route. We'd rather go the more natural.
The Armor, yeah, perfect. I'll tell you a little success story. I love success stories, not because it's our client's success is our success. That's the short of it. And I just had a young lady who'd been basically for decades struggling with weight, skin and hair problems, and just basically suffering unnecessarily. I got her on Armor, adjusted the proper dose, and she just told me the most amazing things. She's getting her life back, and that's wonderful.
Oh. That's wonderful.
I just started a man on it for that same reason.
Pardon me?
I just started a patient on it who needs to lose 100 pounds this week.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And if your doctor, I just want to say this, if your doctor out there is having a difficult time or telling you that they're not willing to do it,
fire that doctor and call us.
Yes.
I will order Armor Thyroid for anybody as a substitute.
Mm-hmm. And
okay.
go ahead, please.
Is hair loss also a side effect of a thyroid issue?
Hair loss is a major thing, as well as
yes.
weight, as well as energy levels, depression, mood, just irritability,
Intelligence.
Oh God, everything. I mean, it's one of the master hormones as well. Thyroid is very important.
You know, I believe you so much, because all of a sudden the AST went high and the LDL went high.
Mm-hmm.
Everything all of a sudden went off, and the doctors have nothing to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, everything happened at once. So I'm suspecting.
I just want to say this, wonderful, and we'll kind of keep, I just kind of say it briefly, but the holistic means everything relates to everything else. Neurohormonal, endocrine, physiologic, musculoskeletal, you name it. The entire everything relates to everything else. That's why you have to have the right approach, holistic, not conventional when it comes to this. That's essential.
It's essential, but is it normal for those other numbers to go off?
Yes, it's not normal, but expected. I mean, yes.
Expected.
Yeah.
Got it.
Not normal, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I did have another question for you. I've been looking into your Sapphire Scalar.
Sapphire Scalar, yep.
And the PAMS device. Could you tell us or explain what the difference is between those two devices, please?
PEMF and Scalar. Let's talk about it.
The PEMF device is for everything in your body. It reorganizes the normal electrical charge on your body. Its greatest benefit is for your brain, but it actually helps local pain. It helps put you in a good mood. It's the best way I could put it. The Scalar device primarily reduces free radicals. Free radicals are the death of cells in your body, and it reduces free radical production an average of over 40% just being exposed to it an hour a day.
But the PEMF is basically, think of it, just in general, it's the entire trillions of cell recharger to optimal function, or whatever is optimal for those cells. Makes it better. And that's the primary distinction.
Okay, so the free radicals, et cetera, the Scalar, and that's only 1 hour per day. But the PEMF you can use anytime and as much as you like, right?
The only contraindication is a pacemaker.
Mm-hmm. But
okay.
I also suggest, if you have the Scalar device, keep it on 24/7.
Yeah, I have one in my office pointing to my desk, and I have one beside my bed pointing toward the head of the bed.
Get the extra benefit. Why not?
Oh, the Scalar you could keep on for 24 hours, you're saying?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll definitely look into that. And we'll be listening to next week, because you'll be delving even more into the thyroid.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a big topic. You got it. A lot of people have questions on that. Yeah.
Yes. And is iodoral still one of the
Absolutely. Absolutely. But not every day necessarily, iodoral or iodine.
Iodoral, actually, I take 1 tablet a week. That's all you need.
Okay, and that's a 12 milligrams?
12.5, right. I believe, if it's not.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, 1 a week. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all your help.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
And folks, remember, we can tell you what to do. We cannot do it for you. I can't think for you. I can't act for you. But you are responsible, and your number one responsibility is your health. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, I would like your thoughts on keratoconus, and is it a coincidence that I developed that right after I got a fish tank?
Okay, just repeat that one more time. It didn't come through as clear.
I have keratoconus. I have cornea. My cornea is cone-shaped.
Corn-shaped cornea. Yeah.
The only thing I know that might help is pure United States Pharmacopoeia drugstore type castor oil. 1 drop in the eye every night. How bad is it already?
It's pretty bad. I currently have Jupiter scleral contact lenses that help.
Yeah, it's that's an adaptation that helps, but it's not the solution ultimately. That's
absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But my fish developed something very similar to what my doctor described, that I got in a fish tank. And I know that there's a medicine that you can put in the water and it clears it up with the fish, but I've never heard of anything like that for humans.
I would be.
And is that a coincidence?
It is that, but I would be careful not to use it without knowing exactly what it is.
I would not use it, trust me, unless Yeah, it's just a thought that I had, but I developed it shortly after I got this fish tank, and my fish developed something very similar to what has been described to me that I have.
Do you drink fluoridated water?
Probably.
Well, that's
city. I drink city water here in Springfield, tap water.
Yes, it's poison. Get yourself a Berkey, Berkey filter. Don't ever drink city water, period.
And I'll share a little life hack here, basically, or a trick, tool you can use if you're ever out in the city or in the restaurant, or you need to have something that's not filtered. Get a couple of lemons. Don't eat those lemons. Leave them in the glass, and just let it stay there for a couple of minutes. Now, it's not 100% solution, but it does take some of the toxic aspects out of the city water. But obviously, if you can do better than that, that's desired.
I will do that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
And folks, again, are you ready to be healthy? Well, if you want to be healthy, then you've got to eat real things. Take the supplements that are essential for every human being, like magnesium lotion, the youth formula, and the essentials. And don't drink city water, period. Mm-hmm. It is pure, unadulterated poison, and kick out the city council at every possible vote. They are murderers. There's actually a paper written by a very well-known physician called "Fluoride is Public Murder," and so your city council is murdering its citizens.
Mm-hmm. Well,
of course, if you have a question, then now is the time to get it answered. We'll be back next Wednesday, but in the meantime, you can also have an appointment with us at the Shealy-Sorin Wellness Institute, 417-351-5221.
And I have so many questions from people about thyroid. Well, I look forward to the next week's radio. That's going to be fantastic.
Is Matt going to let us do it next week?
I hope so. Matt, I hope you're listening. We would love to get into the thyroid discussion.
Just check one more quick to see if we get any late questions over there.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that I think would be a fun question to answer. What do you eat in a typical day or week?
What do I eat? I eat every day a minimum of 32 grams of egg white protein, 24 grams of whey protein, and the equivalent of 26 vegetables and fruits that are dried powder form, and a tablespoon of coconut oil, and a tablespoon of avocado oil. And then I have a few bits of fruit and vegetables and meat in addition.
And I'll share my regimen, which is a little different, and not as much protein per se, but I try to keep it to at least 1 gram per kilogram, or pounds divided by 2.2, and then that's how you get your kilograms. So that's one, lots of veggies, some fruit, and not many carbs. Working to stay away from sugar, but yeah.
You don't need any carbs. You do need protein, and you do need your antioxidants, and magnesium lotion.
And
the views expressed on this
and magnesium lotion, because that got, I think with that, but we got lost that in the sound there.
Magnesium lotion was the last we got on the radio, but we're still with the Facebook.
Okay, so we're still on. Now, Rob, is there anybody else with any statements, comments, anything fun, or any questions that we should address?
Yeah. So one question they had was, what is the safest sweetener?
Safest sweetener.
If they need to sweeten something.
If you have to choose something. Sweetener, yeah, like what you would put into
fruit, real fruit. That's it. I don't like any artificial. If you got to have sweet, 1 teaspoon of honey a day.
Perfect.
Local honey.
Yes, because it's got its own enzymes. Literally, it's unlike processed stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And then somebody was asking. They have an autoimmune problem with.
Autoimmune problem,
Orthostatic hypertension.
With orthostatic hypotension, with autoimmunity.
That needs a consultation. I don't think I could deal with that without knowing everything.
But I'll I'll jump in with this. If anyone has any kind of autoimmune concern or any chronic disease concern, there's something called Autoimmune X by the company called Pristine, and they have my respect. They're doing it right. That's a good supplement. They even have maybe Matt can put a link there. I use that product myself daily.
Right. And what are some good supplements to help get yourself unhooked from nicotine?
Nicotine withdrawal supplements. Mm-hmm.
Well, to me, the best thing would be injections of B12 at these 2 points and these 2 points at the center of your ears. That will knock your desire for nicotine right away. Other than that, it would be the Gamma Pimp device to help you control that kind of urge.
And of course, you got to have enough B complex. You got to have good, vitamin C, vitamin D. I mean, without that, the body does not function well, and without that, it's difficult. And anything else?
All right, and a recommendation for the treatment of diverticulitis.
Diverticulitis, acute diverticulitis, which means let's make a distinction. There's diverticulosis, which is outpouching of the colon, which can act up at any time, especially if little particulate matters like nuts or something of that nature, seeds get in there, irritated and become inflamed, and sometimes you can develop infection, abscess, and some other things. If it's really terrible, that's where acute medicine comes in.
I agree.
Yeah.
But also probiotics.
Mm-hmm.
You really need good probiotics. And if you are at all sensitive to milk products, then you need to take them as an additive. I particularly like G as in George, R8 Dophilus. You might need 3 or 4 of them a day, but you must feed those normal bacteria in your intestines.
And I'm going to say something on this topic as well. We offer in the clinic ozone in various forms. And now, this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I know it's certainly, but it works. Rectal ozone. Rectal ozone. Ozone basically takes care of whatever is out of balance. I mean, that's the short of it, whether it's infectious or whether it's inflammatory. So if you can actually, and we can arrange that in the clinic, or we can even go beyond that to intravenous ozone and vitamin C, which goes back to the optimizing the immune system. And if your immune system is doing well, you might not need antibiotics. You might not.
And until next week, y'all have a good one.
Fantastic.